What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Plot Roast, the show where we roast movies given to us by our Patreon supporters. And this week, we are doing one of the greatest movies in Casey's mind, and that is 1987's Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren, based on the hit cartoon from the 80s, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And we're getting into it. This is one of Casey's favorite movies. This is one I don't mind roasting at all. Yeah. So let's just have some fun. Casey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great, brother. It's fucking great to see you and hang out with you, and especially when we have the opportunity to roast one of my all-time favorite movies. So let me just preface all of this by saying Masters of the Universe has meant more to me than most movies. It has been one of my building blocks, if you will, that made me fall in love with cinema. As much as Star Wars lives up there, Masters of the Universe is right next to it for me. As a child, as a 9-year-old kid in Germany, this videotape I destroyed. I watched so much. So, that being said, it means a lot to me. It is easily destroyable, and we are here to roast it because it's meant for the spit. It's not great. It's not like a movie that I'm like, hey, this will change your life. No, but it's fun. And if we're nothing here at the Scene Snobs, we're always fun.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's a good thing you mentioned Star Wars, because clearly this movie stole everything it could from there,
as much as possible.
Man, does it get tough. So, of course, this is the story of He-Man and his band of friends trying to stop Skeletor, who has taken over Castle Grayskull in Eternia, which, by the way, Castle Grayskull looks like a TV antenna with a bunch of crap on it and a skull stuck there somewhere.
It's pretty garbage because Grayskull's important, man. Look, that's Castle Grayskull.
That's Castle Grayskull.
Bro, that's Castle Grayskull. Yep. And what they did in this movie was immediately showed me in the first 4 minutes that it is not going to be the He-Man you think. It lets you know right out the gate.
Well, I like how they threw out Prince Adam really hardcore. They were like, we're not touching this one.
Yeah. The Prince Adam part was gone. Like, they never really refer to him as Prince Adam ever.
Which made me wonder why he got powers in the end when he said, I have the power with the sword. You're always He-Man. You're always him. Like, I don't understand.
But you have to have the sword. The sword is the catalyst. Sure. It's the piece that connects you to the energy. And that's the importance of the sword. So, yes, you within yourself, which I think She-Ra, modern day She-Ra, has done a fantastic job of. And I think that this movie definitely did not. It tried to portray it. It made you almost believe it.
I wrote down 3 pages worth of notes in a book from a company that no longer exists, by a movie made by a company that no longer exists.
Bam.
All for good reason. He-Man, and here's what I wrote for the beginning battle with He-Man fighting in the rocks. And we were talking about a sword because it made no sense. We have the stormtroopers in black. That is 100% what they are. There is nothing else.
No, I'm with you. And those stormtroopers are just like going everywhere. You see them everywhere. The dark troopers, if you will.
The dark troopers is basically exactly what they were.
And it was way shinier than the other ones.
That's because they wore white. They're always shiny. They never got dirty. This one, they all have huge rifle blasters, though. He-Man has the sword.
Yep.
The sword of power. And I wrote down, He-Man Jedi'd before the Jedi in this movie stole from stormtroopers only for Lucas to turn around and steal deflecting. Because and here's where it bothered me. He is deflecting all of their beams back at them from their blasters.
Yeah.
And then in the next scene, when he meets Fake Orko, he has a blaster on him.
Well, he had the blaster on him. He was trying to escape when you first meet him. So yes, he's talking to Man-at-Arms and Man-at-Arms daughter Teela. Thank you. Wow, I can't believe I just did that. Teela.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense. That totally plays.
And this is, Skeletor has already taken over Eternity. He has the Sorcerer's trapped. He is in Castle Grayskull completely. Mm-hmm. His troops, his henchmen, everything are all there. He-Man's on the run, like you said, with Man-at-Arms and Teela, and then they find Fake Orko. I'm not calling him by his name.
Gwildor. His name is
No,
Gwildor. They basically
I
took
know what it
Orko.
is.
Okay, so Orko is the original wizard from the cartoon, for anyone who doesn't know. And
Best
he
wizard.
was integral. He was always around He-Man, and he was a major part of the story.
Mhm.
And they tried to meld, I don't know, Battle Cat and Orko. Like they took this weird
That's
stance
straight up
with
what they did.
Gwildor. Gwildor is just a dude who's the size of Gwildor or size of Orko, but doesn't have any powers and basically is a key master and specializes in interdimensional travel.
He's fake Orko, and he's the Thomas Edison of Eternia. That's what he is.
He Tesla'd Orko.
He just, yeah, that's what he did. He straight up just invents. That's it. He's got no real magic to him. I even wrote down this movie is about a bunch of beautiful models, their weird goblin, and their strange uncle.
Okay, so beautiful models. Who are we talking about?
Well, first of all, Tila, played by Chelsea Field, is probably one of those beautiful women in this movie ever.
I will agree with that. She was positively stunning and hilarious, and she did all of her lines really well, except for the points when she freaks out about chicken in a bucket.
Oh God, I wrote that one down too. This movie had an agenda. It had
Oh,
a
it
hard
did.
agenda.
So the best part is that this movie is legitimately piping the most progressive ideas into your soul out the gate.
They couldn't afford a fedora and a giant sweater with an O on it, but I bet you the third cast member to be paid the most amount of money in this movie was that goddamn cow. I'm telling you, that was because that cow had no purpose of being there. What is the cow just walking around for anyway?
So real quick, after our main heroes meet Orko,
Yeah,
fake Orko,
fake Orko.
fake Orko, fair enough. Gwildor was fake Orko. So they interdimensionally travel. Our heroes, who
He
is
has a key.
Yes, he has a key. So we get Dolph Lundgren, who, firstly, let's just talk about how much oil was spent on this budget, because that man is oiled the entire time,
all the time,
there
with
is
like
not a
little
scene.
black marks on his chest, and like that just kind of accentuate like I've been in a battle.
Like someone rubbed charcoal and then oiled his body. And I don't mean once, I mean every take. every take they were oiling that son of a bitch up.
There was so much baby oil.
Big money on that. So we see our heroes all transported thanks to Gwildor. So Tila, Man-at-Arms, Gwildor, and He-Man are all transported to Earth, which is a weird like takeaway. It's a different dimension basically from where they live in Eternia. And now they are on the run because Skeletor has taken over everything. He's finally taken Eternia.
Well, the reason being the key is the MacGuffin of the piece, because Skeletor, I guess fake Orko made a key originally. Skeletor stole it, and that was his way into Castle Grayskull to take it over. And so if you can control it, but not the second one, which fake Orko had, it just takes him. First of all, they have to go on a run because Karg, the weird haired lizard guy, has the worst hair imaginable.
With a hook.
With a hook.
At least has a hook hand.
Jesus,
which
makes no sense.
Look, man, there were characters from He-Man that make sense because they were a hook hand. But it wasn't Karg, and Karg was weird.
Karg was weird. Karg was not a character. Everybody else was a character.
Yeah, this is the problem. So between Gwildor, Karg, and Blade, we have
Blade was a character, wasn't he?
I don't think he was, bro. I don't remember a Blade.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Beast
now
Man.
It's gonna bug me.
Was righteous. We got Evil Lyn, who was awesome. Skeletor is amazing. By the way, Evil Lyn, played by Meg Foster, was my absolute love interest all my life. That dark hair, stunning blue eyes, just that cold look, and the fact that she wants to murder. That's all I'm looking for. That's all it is.
Okay, so Blade was a toy.
Okay.
But he came in after the movie.
See, that's my thing. Because I remember pre-movie Masters of the Universe, He-Man. And that's what I watched.
Beastman was definitely one of the toys.
Oh, Beastman was 100%. Beastman was perfect. Beastman was the only thing they took from the show, the cartoon, brought into the movie and did it absolutely correct. Skeletor was also really good. And Evil Lyn was really good. The bad guys they nailed. He-Man. mm,
Well, I mean, let's be real. Like, what you're not really. He-Man doesn't have a lot of range anywhere you go. So
totally
I mean, at
valid.
least they got Dolph Lundgren to just jump in and like he looks the part.
Oh, he does. He absolutely. That was the coolest thing. He at least looked the way. Man at Arms, I think, was probably my favorite, just because I wasn't ready for him to be so, I don't know, bristly. he was.
Yeah, he was. He was like the weird uncle just hanging out with them.
He was the old man who was just kind of fucking pissed at everyone, which was great, but also too much.
It's like Tila and He-Man were going on a date to Applebee's.
Yes.
Their friends Kevin and whatever Courtney Cox's name was, and they had to bring their fifth wheel friend, fake Orko, with them. And somebody's drunk uncle was like, "You know what I want to do? I want to go to Applebee's and have some wings." And that's how this all occurred. This whole thing.
Not completely wrong. I mean, John Cypher did a great job as Man at Arms.
Yeah, I mean, he did fine. Like, and I'm not putting down his performance. Like, everybody did the best they could with what they had here.
But he was a grumpy Man at Arms, and you're right. It was kind of fun because the whole time he's just doing we'll never find a parking space this close. They took that off the menu. What do you mean you don't have that in stock? I guess that ruins my whole meal, but I'll figure it out. That was him the whole way.
But I guess they don't eat meat on Eternia because they both got he was the only one that was like down with eating ribs. Everybody else
was a fun thing. So after passing through this weird gate, and that's what they call it, it's a gate that opened by this key. So they pass through the gate, and Tila and Man at Arms have landed somewhere, and they need food. They're foraging, and they find a rib shack and decide to start eating. And Gwildor joins them eventually after finding him upside down in the swamp, because that's where he belongs. So after they get him out, he could have suffocated there and we would have been fine.
Well, remember, it was called Robbie's Rib Shack.
Robbie's Rib Shack is where they go to eat and discover that they're eating meat off of bones. And like Tila, Man at Arms, like Tila freaks out. She's like, ugh. And Gwildor's like, oh my gosh. And then you have Man at Arms is straight up like,
Yeah, he's just hungry. Well, here's the thing that bugs me. So Robbie's Rib Shack is where Julie, Courtney Cox's character, works in the movie.
Yes.
And it's her last day. She's above all else, she's moving out of this nice California town because her parents are dead. Yep. And for whatever reason, she has to leave that night, even before graduation. And she's moving to New Jersey. But they don't even tell you why.
Well, it's the promised land.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen said that. Yes, you're 100% right.
100%. I mean, look, they use there are 3 characters in this who Springsteen hard. Like, they are trying to do Springsteen. Like, the look was jeans and a kerchief in your pocket and basically a flannel and a t-shirt. Everyone was Bruce Springsteen in this who was not a main character. And even Robert Duncan McNeil, who got close to being almost like a Morrissey. Like maybe a Depeche Mode level.
Yeah. I give it that.
He was about there. But he still pulled it. And everyone was trying to be the most 80s quintessential human they could be. And they nail it.
Jesus. Dude, this movie, there's a bunch of things that make no like again, you have He-Man, whose weapon of choice is a sword in a gunfight all the time, no matter what.
But because it's a sword and it's huge and he looks awesome posing with it, even though it looks just like Conan's sword too. So they did a real piss poor job. It looks like Conan's sword with like 2 hole punches in it. And they went good enough.
Which, by the way, and this is for our Patreons, the sword used in season 4 of Stranger Things was an actual prop sword on Conan the Barbarian.
It, in fact, was used first in episode 2 by one of the Russian prisoners. Used secondly, most importantly, in order to strike down the Demogorgon who was imbued by the shadow by none other than Hopper himself.
Yep. Now you know what sword in cinematic history wasn't important enough to put in a TV show?
Every other one?
This one. This one was not the Masters of the Universe sword. Nobody cares about it because nobody cares about this movie.
I don't know. There were 2 guys who really cared about it. Skeletor and He-Man gave a shit. I mean, but that's it.
That's fair.
Literally,
they put their top notch in there.
The only ones.
Can I ask you, when they're going to travel through the dimension,
Yes.
what was the point of the grappling hook? He drops
Okay.
the thing. He drops
Yeah.
the thing, but he doesn't need to because He-Man grabs him and could just. You could cut back time. Just He-Man grabs it and jumps through. But they left it there, and then last second when they go to grab it, the grappling hook comes and grabs
Okay,
it.
so the point of the grappling hook had to be someone who in 1979 was infatuated by ninjas, realized what they used for grappling hooks, and also was a big Isaac Asimov fan. So he went, how do I compare and build these two together while also portaling through a dimension? I can shoot it. So now instead of having to throw a grappling hook, I can shoot a grappling hook, and it looks way fucking cooler. Yet it's
It
also
does
just a
not.
claw machine end. So when it actually grabs the key, when the grappling hook grabs the key, I'm like, it's gonna drop it. Like, because all I think of is every time I'm playing one of those claw machines, going, I'm gonna get it this time. That polar bear is fucking mine with the big heart, and I'm gonna get it. And you don't. You spend $45 and lose it. But
You
that's
went way too
exactly
existential on this for me.
exactly what that key was, or that grappling hook was. It was awesome.
So David Odell, the writer for this, stated, and I want to see what your thought on it was, that the original draft included some more time spent on Eternia and Snake Mountain, which we never got to see.
Yeah.
It had Beastman in a speaking role, and even revealed that He-Man's mother was originally from Earth, as per the character Queen Marlena from the Filmation animated series He-Man and Masters of the Universe, thus linking the two planets. So that sounds like it would have been way more reasonable.
Honestly, if they had included that, it would not have been as abstract as it is, where you just kind of show up and like whatever, he just beep bloop bloop bloop. Now it wouldn't have meant shit because He-Man didn't punch in the numbers. It's all Gwildor. So trying to create a tie in there doesn't mean anything. And part of the glory of this movie is that most of it doesn't mean anything. It's the best part of this movie is you don't actually have to watch. You could literally trim this thing down to 15 minutes to get the entirety of the story, and you're done. It is Langola's performance. It is Dolph Lundgren's performance that really sends it over the baby boy lubed up edge.
So Julie and Kevin end up at the cemetery over her parents' plots.
Yes.
And then she says, I've never told anyone this, but I killed my parents. And her whole story was she didn't want to go to the beach with them that day. So she told them she's going to stay home and study so she can hang out with Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decided to take their plane and it crashed and they died. And so it's her fault.
Yeah, it's amazing that they don't put a little responsibility on, I don't know, the fucking pilot.
None whatsoever. It ain't his fault. So
all Courtney Cox's fault, which, look, survivors of trauma, not trying to shit on you, not giving you any grief.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, Courtney Cox did not do a good job portraying that. Nor did she make me believe in any way, shape, or form. Like, I mean, well, okay. At that very scene that you're speaking of, she did, in fact, try to be conciliatory, and it did make sense. It was almost logical. The weird thing is, her and Kevin's storyline wants to be logical, but at the same time, they're not good people. And
they're just shitty people.
Every time they're going to Kevin and being like, "Oh, we should really care about Kevin," I'm like, "Do we?"
Yeah.
He's a douche in a band, and he acts like a douche in a band.
Well, in fairness, he's in high school.
Yeah. Who's in a band? So he's a fucking douche.
That was the coolest, man. That was the way you got girls.
No, he wasn't. My God.
You got Courtney Cox. There you go.
See, and I'm already wrong. See, that's where I fucked up. Because obviously, if you can get Courtney Cox, it doesn't matter. Bruce Springsteen got her.
That's true. See, so she likes guys in bands.
Or from Jersey. That's what drew her to Jersey.
That's what she was doing. She's moving to follow Bruce Springsteen out there, and she's gonna, because her parents are dead, she's gonna become Batman.
Are you kidding me? I got no parents. I got nothing else going for me. I'm gonna go hang in Jersey. I'm gonna go hang with the boss.
So, so they're on the run now. They get mixed up in it because they find the key after this whole cemetery.
Because the key does not land with everyone else who travels through.
Because they
So
used the
key-
fucking grappling hook, which is
Because
stupid.
the key MacGuffins magically elsewhere.
Yeah, it's so stupid. So they find the key. They're trying to figure out what it is. First thing they do is go to the prom hall that they're at, which I
Well,
don't know
because
when
that's
prom
where
was
you can
happening,
practice with all your shit plugged in.
with the key. And he's like, I gotta go talk to my buddy at the music shop. You wait here. Leaves her there for the 4 henchmen to show up.
Yeah, I never got that part. Like this, okay. Kevin isn't really like smart, or nor does he give a shit about his girlfriend.
Nah.
'Cause he's always like, "You stay here, I'll go it alone."
Yeah, just take her to the music shop.
Exactly. Just fucking go with. But like, hey, babe, we got to stay through this. Let's do it. And instead, some weird thing happens where they get the smell of interdimensional travel on them.
Yeah, it's so stupid. The whole thing is fucking stupid. so the 4 henchmen show up. He-Man shows up to save her. Rush through this one. He beats them up. They get, I guess, sent back because they go back and they get and Skeletor.
They can openly travel.
Oh, because they have the key. They have
The other key, and all they're doing is literally calling out to the other key. So they're just flying into the dimension, no idea where they are, and they're close, but they're not quite there because they're awful. And these henchmen are terrible. So Blade is just super fucking shiny. Like,
not that shiny.
He was awful, man. He was awful. He had the weird, like, just chunks of metal on him. And he had a sword that he maybe like successfully did 2 cool things with.
Maybe. I like when he gets his sword taken away by He-Man, and he's like, "My blade!"
Yeah, like, what am I supposed to do? Ah! Like, it was hilarious. And then we move into what's his nuts, Kurg, little dickhead, fucking with a hook going the whole time. Like,
he's like the
one
leader.
can find us, but Evelyn, we must find our answer. He was terrible. He was awful.
Literally nobody did anything.
What's that?
Nobody did anything. They got beaten pretty quickly.
Beast Man at least tried. I'll give Beast Man the most credit because he ran at things.
True.
And that's exactly what Beast Man did. No,
it was like very uncoordinated in his running.
Yeah. And just kind of like throwing an arm at things and then getting fucked up. And he's like, how did he beat me? Really? So yeah, that was pretty weak sauce. So we've got Kurg, who's just shit, like a terrible little shitty raisin with a hook. Then you've got jackass freaking Blade, who is just shiny with a blade that he doesn't apparently know how to wield. And then we follow
Rod, which was the reptile guy in the Darth Vader helmet.
That's right. Forgot
about him. He comes up for an important reason, and then you have Beastman. So they lose.
Yep.
Everyone skedaddles.
Yep.
To go find the key. The good guys in a souped up car that fake Orko made more energy efficient. You're not going to tell me there wasn't an agenda in this movie. There was an agenda clearly in this movie to sell toys.
Well, there's always been an agenda to sell toys. He-Man was actually created as a cartoon purpose built by Mattel to sell toys.
Oh yeah.
And it won. It succeeded because I am still imprinted with it. And as an owner of many of the He-Man collection at one point in my life, oh yeah, I just want to sell toys.
Still going. But no, so the 4 henchmen go back to confront and are confronted by Skeletor. Blade straight up asks for another chance. Yep. And Skeletor kills that Sora reptile guy. He just kills him. That guy didn't say anything. He didn't step up. He wasn't talking shit. He just stayed back. And Skeletor's like, "Oh, fuck you. You want another chance? I'm going to kill this guy."
Yeah, that's why you don't fuck with that guy.
I don't know, man. It was so bad.
Well, there was no logical sense to it, but at the same token, that's kind of what Skeletor's supposed to be, is the chaotic murderer, the most evil thing you could think of, not even the guy who was wrong.
But he refuses to kill anyone else in the movie. It's just his downfall.
Yeah.
So stupid.
He threatens it a lot, though.
So I like when they finally they all get to the music shop to get the key. This is after a lot happens in between because Lubick gets introduced. He is investigating the fire at the gym.
Right.
And okay, fine, I'm there. It's small town, whatever. I'll join in on this. And he runs into Kevin, who's worried about his girl, and he just decides to detain Kevin and be like, "Let's go find your girlfriend." But not. He's not. I don't feel like he wanted to find his girlfriend. I feel like he was just being a dick.
Well, that's awful 80s cops who they wanted to show as being awful. So they showed how wrong they could be, which once again is another part of this magical message of this movie, which is don't be a dick and never trust cops. And
Masters of the universe
until they have a shotgun, and then you can trust them.
Then
Once
you can
they have
trust
a shotgun, it's fine.
And he still doesn't want to do his job correctly.
Never.
So they all like culminate at the music shop. They're hiding while they're fighting all the stormtroopers that come in. Everybody is like sieging. This is the siege. I think I wrote down the siege of Burbank because this looks like Burbank.
Well, it was awesome. That's what it was.
Cool.
After they've gone through, so we've already escaped from the high school. Lubick has shown up. Lubick is a terrible cop too, because he keeps not listening to anyone. Like he goes back to the music shop to find Kevin, and he's not listening to 4 different people who are telling him the stories. And he's like, "Nope, you're all full of shit." And it's like, really? At some point, you've got to believe him.
But when they get there, now he's overrun because he's like aliens. They're all in the back hiding. They use Julie's parents against her.
Yeah.
And make her see the parents, even though it's Eva Lynn doing it. So she goes and just grabs the key.
Amazing fucking Meg Foster, bro.
She was great.
Let's just have a moment for Eva Lynn because Meg Foster is brilliant in everything she's done. But this for me was one of her best roles because she legitimately is the only one who brought any style and flair to any role outside of Frank Langella. I love his Skeletor.
Clearly, you've never seen The Stepfather Part 2.
One of my favorites, and I absolutely have. And I'm pretty sure her scene with what was it? Vaseline? Yeah, I'm good.
Oh boy. Anyway, so we get there, and then they get outside. Skeletor's now there with his very emperor-looking throne that kind of rolls around, hovers everywhere.
Which was totally a toy, purchasable beforehand. They actually did. They grabbed a couple toys, and they were like, "Here's one." And his fairy thing with all of him and his 9 death troopers all around him, and like everything was rad as shit. I loved that part when he comes through the city.
Yeah, no, that was because like the siege looked cool.
Yeah,
until you got to the flying discs, one where Flash McFly steals a flying disc and he goes on a little joyride around Burbank. You're not going to convince me this wasn't Burbank. It looked just like it.
Yeah, and he absolutely looked terrible doing it. Like he looked so uncomfortable the whole time. Like special effects on this magical silver disc while he's using his sword to chop people down. It was like a weird future jousting thing.
I feel like they made these for literally to say to kids like, listen, kids, just use a quarter. You're already buying enough from us. We're not going to make you buy a circle. We're not doing it.
We're not going to commit to that.
So it's just like, get a quarter, use that. Maybe a Pringles top.
It would work perfect.
That would work perfect.
Yeah.
That's basically what this whole thing was, trying to emulate Flash Gordon and Back to the Future Part 2, which hadn't even come out yet.
Yep.
But I'm still maintaining they knew.
Well, they were future telling. That's all that was.
They were. But yeah, so they all get into it. Finally, and I'll give it to He-Man. He fights to the bitter end.
Yeah, man.
He doesn't
all the way
stop.
Until he's enslaved. Bro, that was one of the coolest parts about him is the fact that he kept going.
This movie tried so hard to be Star Wars, it hurt my head a little bit.
Well, it tried to be a lot of things. Look, the blaster shots were awesome. And that's about it. Everyone missed. So that's exciting. Nobody could actually shoot. We got to see, I guess someone got shot. What was it? Tila got shot at one point.
No. It was Julie gets shot and she's poisoned. Right.
Well, Julie gets poisoned because of Eva Lynn.
Oh, that's what it is. She got poisoned.
Yeah.
No, nobody else got shot.
Oh, okay.
It was just Julie got poisoned because So I wrote this down too. Skeletor killed a henchman because another henchman spoke, but he takes everyone prisoner.
Yes.
He could have just murdered everybody right there and been like, He-Man, you're my bitch.
I never understood that about this entire movie. So after this whole siege and everything happens, he takes He-Man prisoner.
Yeah.
And
Which is only
things,
that's his motivation.
of all the things you're going to do, you're telling me that the guy you're trying to kill, or at least torment, because really that's what Langola's Skeletor is at the end of this. Like by the time we get to the whole sun god scene, he's just trying to fuck with He-Man. So why would you not kill Teela and Man-at-Arms, who are his A1 day ones, man? Those are his top people. You kill them and like you've destroyed the heart of He-Man. You've broken him.
But he, and even if you can't break him because the dude is like impenetrable, like he says it in the movie that if we keep to our promise, like let them live, they stay on Earth, keep to our promise, and He-Man will keep to his word. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like that sounds like a really foolish idea.
Yeah, it's a terrible one. Oh, I'm just going to enslave this person who I've been basically trying to murder time and time again, enlisting an army of villains, an army, multiple armies. And yet, at no point is he like, well, let's just kill this son of a bitch, or maybe a cool guillotine effect. Like, hell, the Bloody Revolution did it so well. Why would you not just reenact that? And they gave plenty of room, too. If he had chopped his head off at the top of the throne room, it would have rolled down the entirety all the way back to the door.
I didn't understand Skeletor's whole thing. He just wanted him he wanted him nothing more than to take a knee in front of him. He wanted him to kneel as Skeletor. He didn't even care about the power. He just wanted He-Man. He says it. He has a soliloquy where he goes on about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Frank Langella, I know they said this is his favorite role, and he took it because of his son. But he treated this like it was Shakespeare.
No, he did.
It was not.
No, I'm sorry. He gave this his all, and that is part of the reason I love this movie, because his level of commitment, which I think rubbed off on some let's say like Meg Foster and Dolph Lundgren. I think Langola's seriousness that he took this role did rub off on other characters, and we see that on occasion where everyone acts very well.
Do you think he took this role because he was like pissed off at Alec Guinness?
Well, I mean, of course. Because Alec Guinness was being a dick about Star Wars, so he was like, fuck that guy.
Like Frankie Langella, every time I see him, like he shows up and I'm just like, that dude's an asshole. I can tell. Like he just was. Like I can tell.
Who, Frank Langella?
Yeah.
Well, he was never he was the other Christopher Lee, who Christopher Lee's an asshole too.
Yeah, well, Christopher Lee is I don't know what boggles my mind more, Frank Langella in this or Christopher Lee in The Stupids. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's legit.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I understand the actors get older and they take roles and whatever, but they took those and they were like happy about it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I mean, but this movie proves why we don't get it. Because there's something magical about this 80s debacle. And yet it was done by some really huge name actors and actresses who did a great job with their crap roles. That's the fun part, is they all committed to their crap roles. Like this writing was literally done on the back of a fucking, I don't know, KFC bucket. It was so bad. It's awful. It's not good. It's incongruent. People are just jumping to the next point. Like, of course I have all this innate knowledge and I know everything. Let me just tell you what the next plot point is. Oh, great. Let's go to the next plot point.
The problem is all of the plot points, they could make sense if you flesh them out a little bit more, but they didn't. They just didn't. They were like, we're just going to do it this way. Like, I feel like the grappling hook was literally them like, okay, he drops it. Okay. Well, how do we separate it? How do we get it through the portal? Oh, shit, I don't know. Say a grappling hook. And it's like, you didn't know this? You didn't think about this on set? Like, that's some bullshit.
I mean, that's obviously the writer who's just been drunk all day, probably on blow. So they stayed up. So by the time they get around to actually showing up on set around 1 PM, they're like, yo, we got to change everything, man.
No, I think David Odell, like, he wrote a really good script and they just chopped it to shit.
That's the other part. They could have just ripped it down.
Yeah. In going through this, like, okay, so now He-Man is captured. They're whipping him with a laser whip that makes no sense. It moves too slow.
Laser whip is awesome.
No, it's not.
Wielded by Blade.
Yeah,
and I was a big fan of laser whip.
No, laser whip sucked.
Okay, when I went back and rewatched it, I realized that there's a weird
it's a delay. I don't think they know how whips work.
And like how slow it moves. It's like you see him make his arm motion, and it's got to be like a 70-foot whip. Like if you're gonna have that long of a delay in the smack,
I like how it's like, whoosh, whoosh. Which like it's so slow, and it's like, come on! And he hit him 3 times, but he has 70 gashes on his back.
And why does he have a laser flange at the end? Like, did you notice that too? It forks at the end.
Oh my god, it's so weird.
You couldn't have a laser flange. To get a laser whip already requires way too much effort. We've seen it with Whiplash, and it's totally doable. But like the motions of him going through it are ridiculous.
I feel like there was no thought in that.
Yeah.
They were just like, we need a whip. And I feel like maybe they had a whip on set and they were kind of playing it up. Maybe the guy who played Blade, and the reason he did it was like a whipsman or whatever they call him. Mm-hmm. A whip enthusiast.
A whip master.
What
of those, whip masters. One of those whip enthusiasts. A big whip fan.
Dude, I'm telling you now, when Skeletor is getting off and he's got the staff and he's like,
yeah, when he's all hugging on the staff, like, man.
No, he's not just hugging. It's not like, oh, He-Man. He's like, he's making sounds. He's like, every time he gets whipped, he's just like, like you can tell he's hard. You can tell this skeleton penis is a bone now.
He doesn't have a penis. He's a skeleton.
He's fucking got a penis. There's a penis there. He's getting.
I don't think Skeletor has a penis. I think that's why he and Evelyn never Evelyn, as much as she wants to think she can influence Skeletor, she can't, and she doesn't. But she keeps thinking she does, which is always funny because it's like, I mean, you're a gorgeous woman who's trying to go after a bony dude who has no bone.
So is Skeletor not able to bone anyone?
Bingo. He can't throw the bone to anyone.
No, you let me have my joke.
I did.
You don't take it from me. So we get in this fight. He's getting off. Meanwhile, at home, everyone else from Eternia and Julian, Kevin, and Lubick are trying to put together a makeshift keyboard at home.
Which is great. Right? Because the only place I ever want to put together a makeshift keyboard is when I'm outside around a bonfire, which clearly had a tire in it too, which is like, so just keep rocking, man.
You just have like silly string everywhere.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. It's outside around the corner of some place. So, and Lubick is still freaking out at everyone. By the way, Lubick, as a police officer, points his gun as much as I think we all think they do.
Yeah,
because he points his gun at everybody.
Everybody,
as if he's a fucking instructor, being like, "Hey, you decide. What do you think? Hey, where are you going?" Like that's all.
This was a night where this 30-year veteran police officer, who's never pulled his gun out on anybody or anything, is finally like, "Tonight's my night."
Well, he's only days away from retirement. Why the fuck not?
He is. He's Robert Duvall in Falling Down.
Exactly.
He's like, he's like 3 days away from retirement. He's stuck. He's just doing his thing. There's a lot of parallels to Lethal Weapon in this.
And he's got to deal with these goddamn kids who are just being jackholes. And he's like, "You fucking idiots don't know nothing." And the whole time I'm like, bro, just make him fly a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong. Like, I mean, it makes sense. I'm down.
Dude. But so they get the key to work. The key, I guess, puts a bubble around them because the car shows up there. The city wall shows up there. Plants.
Half the car. A portion, like a chunk of wall from the building, like the fire with still the tire in it.
Yeah. Everything's just sitting right there.
Yep.
And it's the whole city park area they were using. And it's in Castle Grayskull now. They immediately get in a fight.
Well, let's not forget about the power of our dear Kevin's synthwave. And the sweet, sweet synthwave that opens the doors to parallel universes. And if it weren't for Synthwave, clearly Eternia would have fallen.
I'm telling you right now, this is Eternia did fall, but they left He-Man alive. That was their first mistake.
That was their big problem.
They're like, you know what? We're gonna have him as a prisoner. He's gonna get out
Every time.
He's Andy Dufresne of Eternia.
Well, and bro, when you have Empress still hanging out, who did a fantastic job. I love the Empress. Their sorceress, Christina Pickles, sorceress of Castle Grayskull. She was awesome.
Yeah.
If someone actually took a role and did it right, and they were directed and written properly, out of everyone in this entire movie, she nailed it.
She and Franklin Joe are the only ones who actually watched the cartoons.
Exactly. They were.
They got it. They went into costuming and they're like, here's what we're going to do.
Yep. Their interactions were perfect. What they did together and then, on screen with anyone else was brilliant. The moment you didn't have one of them on screen, this is so hard 80s, it actually hurts. There are points in this movie that are painful because, Synthwave. Synthwave saved a planet, a dimension. So.
Yeah, really did. Well, so Skeletor becomes Super Skeletor because he has He-Man's sword.
Which we find out because he has a giant ray of light and turns golden.
Yeah, straight up, like gold everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like this guy is like loaded, and the whole thing makes no sense with his golden staff.
None. And his headdress got 14 times bigger. It was like if a pope graduates, like you get a bigger hat. That was his whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. He was the Pope. I was afraid for every young child in there. So that one's staying on the Patreon. So we get in. So finally, Dolph He-Man escapes, and he gets his sword back, and he screams, "I have the power."
He has to make a bum rush towards Gold Skeletor.
Gold Super Shredder, as I like to call him.
Super Shredder Skeletor with the gold, gilded.
He runs in, gets a sword, screams, "I have the power." No, he has the power too. They start fighting. They get into a whole hog.
But they get into it. Come on. Let's just for a second with that fight. Every time they strike, everything around them goes black.
Yeah.
And there's just this huge flash between every strike. And they only have like 5 strikes before He-Man straight up breaks that shit.
And he turns back to regular Emperor Skeletor. And then gets an Emperor's fall. He legitimately falls down the same shaft the Emperor fell down.
The exact same. With the same lightning effect the whole way.
Except one was blue and this one was red.
Exactly. Yep. So the lighting effect is different, but the lightning effect around them is the exact same. So as they're falling, you can put them side by side and see the lightning striking.
Yeah, but even what do you call it when he gets hit and he has when they go to attack him and he has the force field.
Yeah.
And a thing, it's the Emperor's lightning strike. That's basically what it is. Same 100%. Effect. So like there's so much they stole in this movie.
Because they could. Why wouldn't you steal it at that point? No, people are not watching He-Man at the same level they watch Star Wars, even though it was produced as if they would.
Yeah, that's true. They should have never brought that was Star Wars like if it came to Earth, and it was a bad idea.
Yeah, very much so. The Gwildor character was terrible. Fake Orko was not cool. They did a really bad job trying to import a different portions of different characters. Man-at-Arms was probably the most believable for his character because he was just grumpy.
He looked like it too.
But he looked perfect for it. My problem with him though is why is he more comfortable on Earth than he was in Grayskull?
Because he's probably tired of always having to fight a fight. He was probably like, fuck, this planet seems like it's doing all right. Like there's people just making out, hanging out.
But then you have Lubick who literally fights one fucking fight, shows up, and now is just surrounded by women. He's full on caroused.
That scumbag came in at peacetime. Evil Lynn and everybody else escaped. This dude, okay, so now Skeletor's dead.
Yep. So we fought Skeletor after being thrown down the tube. I believe Kurg and what's her nuts and Evil Lynn escaped. Everyone else was fucked. Everyone
they
else
get
got
out
fucked.
of there. They go back to Snake Mountain. So now everything's all right in Eternia. The sorceress took back over. Lubick is just hanging out on the throne with the sorceress and
Just
a woman.
chilling in a straight toga with a couple chicks, just being like, "Hey, it's a good retirement, eh?
Retirement, eh? That's stupid. So he's just chilling,
Lascivious and uncomfortable around everyone."
like
Whereas
part of
Man at
me
Arms,
wants to be happy for him because it's like James Tolkien. He's always playing like the shitty guy, like in Top Gun or
right?
Principal Strickland and Back to the Future.
Greatest Strickland.
He is, but he's still a shitty guy. Like he's
Well, yeah,
still
fair.
made to be the villain. And
Yep.
in this is sort of the same way, but he did get like an ending for himself where it's like, okay, he's gonna lead a happy life on Eternia. But I'm like, what are you gonna eat? They don't eat
Okay.
meat, obviously.
So here's the other thing. How about the fact that he is a hero there only because he was a weapon crazed maniac who murdered people and got himself in a position of power and, risen basically because he was just a fucking monster. Way to go, America. He is the most American in all of this, and I love it.
Somehow we fit politics back into this.
Every time.
Welcome. The whole movie is capitalism at its finest. This is no toys.
This is the most 80s movie because it encapsulates a whole fucking time period more so than Mannequin. And I didn't even know that was goddamn possible.
Well, I'm not agreeing to that just yet. Anyway, so Julie and Kevin are ready to go home. They get a marble from the sorceress.
Well, the sorceress heals Julie, who has been sick the whole damn time.
True, she was useless.
Literally, Courtney Cox had 45 minutes of fucking laying down.
Yeah, she didn't do much. So she's fake Orko tells her, like, we can send you back anytime, past or present, whatever. And she's like, nah, just send me back. And then they go in, she turns around, she's like, send me back before my parents. And then, like, of course, she wakes up. Deus Ex Machina. They sent her back before her parents died.
Which somehow is the same year that she's graduating high school, even though they made it seem like it wasn't.
Yeah, they did make it seem like they died years earlier.
Yeah. They really fucked that up with the continuity at the end because I'm like, great. Your parents are alive and you're stealing her car keys and just running down the street like a crazy person. Which
in your nightgown.
Yeah. The old sleeping gowns, if you remember those.
But it's okay because Kevin remembers.
Kevin remembers, and that's what matters. And when they hold this little magical crystal ball, they see probably, come on, man. They see one of the greatest sequences you could ever have in a movie and a way to wrap up a movie, which is just straight up Dolph Lundgren, sword in the air, with the magical effects behind him, screaming, "I have the power." It was awesome.
I beg to differ, but that is Masters of the Universe from 1987. Casey, I want to ask you something.
Shoot.
What would you say that the tomato meter is by the critics for this movie on Rotten Tomatoes?
By the critics?
Yes.
This cannot be above 39%.
You're not wrong.
like 39 is the greatest achievement by critics you could hope for this movie.
All right, it was a 22%.
I mean, yeah. It totally makes sense. Less than a third of people like this movie, like love this movie. Like I have an infatuation with this movie. This is a movie for me that I can put on at any time, at any moment, and I immediately feel good. Life is not bad. And for the next hour and 27 minutes, I am happy.
So, and the audience score is 41%. So you're pretty close there.
Yeah.
Now let me read off some quick criticisms of this movie.
Let's see what the other people think.
The movie, whose only contribution to genre is its recreation of famous characters, goes by unnoticed in front of our eyes without even provoking outright rejection. That is by Angel in Spain. And then Roger Hulbert from the Florida Sun Sentinel says, if not for the superb villainy of Frank Langella, who plays the evil Skeletor, Master of the Universe would be as barren as an asteroid.
I agree. It would be complete Gobi Desert. What he brought to that role and what he did in his interactions with everyone made everyone else better. Because when he is not on screen, this movie is terrible. And there's no way, shape, or form of trying to deny it or save it. When Frank Langella is not on this movie on screen, this movie is miserable. Meg Foster does a hell of a job being Meg fucking Foster, is awesome as shit. Dolph Lundgren is the most quintessential oiled up just body like in a movie. You have Tila, Tila, sorry, played by Chelsea Field, who attempted to give depth and yet also this kind of like she's not aware of everything. She doesn't get it. So we get to see through the eyes of someone from Eternio how fucked up Earth is, which was done stupid. We get Detective Lubick, who was portrayed by the fantastic James Tolkien, and yet he's just a prick. He's a bad police officer who is basically just shitting on kids and fucking with people. For
All right, I'm going to cut you off right here and just say this movie sucks. Because these characters are not even worth rehashing.
There's so many problems with this movie. All right, so this movie is not even mildly problematic. It is severely problematic. Billy Barty.
I wouldn't, you know what? I would not classify this as a problematic movie.
Well, no, problematic not from the perspective of a social stance. Problematic from it's not a good fucking movie.
No,
it's not well written.
And that's
the characters struggle. These are all famous characters. This is all famous source material. As of showing in this year, Gary Goddard knew who the fuck he was dealing with. And still this is what made it to screen, which is why, and this movie is important to me in more ways than I was aware of, because going forward in the future, my standard or expectation for anything that is ever slapped with the title of Something I Love, I can totally understand it could be shit and be okay with it. Because Master of the Universe is the first thing that as a child I remember on screen loving.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see this as, a 9-10-year-old, like I played this tape out unnecessarily, destroyed it, and went and got another one. Because I love this movie so much. And it's awful. Nothing like the source material. They barely tried to get close to it. They missed 40% of the characters, which really made the whole fucking movie. And then the characters they did involve were not the characters I watched on my cartoon. So this movie was pretty fantastic for introducing me to lowered expectations.
Well, I will tell you this. This has been Plot Roast. I can't talk about this movie anymore. This movie is terrible. I can't. But Casey brings up some great points. If you enjoyed this episode, please check out some of our other episodes. Go check out our YouTube channel where we have a bunch of shows and more. We host the Scene Snobs Podcast every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're having a good time with this. You can check out the full unedited version here on Patreon. Or if you're watching the YouTube version, join up on our Patreon and go check out the full
because it's way better over there. Everything you thought was funny is funnier there.
Funnier there. Absolutely. So, guys, thank you again for joining in. If you, again, want to give us a movie to do, join up and we'll happily watch your terrible movie. But until next time, I am your host, Mick Manhattan.
And I am your host, the Madman Casey. It's always been a pleasure. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully we brought you a little cheer and make sure to remind you, watch Masters of the Universe, expect nothing. We love and appreciate you. Be well.
All right, guys, go check out thescenesnobs.com for all our links and more. You can follow us, talk to us, go join in on the Discord and everything else, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. I'm the Scene Snob, Mick Manhattan. You can check out the Scene Snobs Podcast live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel or all podcast platforms afterwards. Also on our YouTube channel, you can check out great shows like Real Combat, the ultimate debate show for movie lovers, mixed movie picks with new recommendations every week, Geek Fest Live every Sunday night, and new movie reviews and news all the time. Like and subscribe, then hit the notification bell so you know when all of our new episodes drop. Thank you so much to all of our amazing Patreon supporters. with whom this would not be possible. They help keep the lights on and support us in such big ways. If you would like to become a supporter on our Patreon and take advantage of all the perks like monthly giveaways, early access, and so much more, head on over to the Scene Snobs Patreon page and just sign up on one of our 2 tiers. Join our awesome community of geeks, movie lovers, and so much more, and join up on our Discord. The Scene Snobs Discord is now live, and you can head over to thescenesnobs.com for links to there and more. The Scene Snobs merch store is now open with original and fun designs that are available on all different types of merch and apparel. Check out thescenesnobsmerch.com. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media accounts like TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and so many more. We have fun updates, topics, we talk about collectibles, and so much more on there. It's a great time. You can find all of our links to everything on thescenesnobs.com or on our link tree, which are down in the descriptions below. Thanks again, everyone. Stay tuned and stay geeky. This is staying in, by the way. I'm going to keep this as the buffer.
As it should. It's a good buffer.
I can't believe I forgot to hit record and we went 10 minutes. All right, well, we can put some more structure to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Plot Roasts, where we roast movies given to us by our patron supporters. Today, we're starting this way different than we did 10 minutes ago. We are doing... Fuck.
Bro,
welcome to Plot Roast, everybody.
Does it just feel like one of those nights?
It just feels like one of those nights.
It feels like one of those nights. You want to do this tomorrow night?
No, I'm having fun now. I'm recording.
Oh, okay. Well, shit.
I'm giddy. I'm in a giddy mood now.
Right,
so I think that will help.
All right, good. That's what I want. All right, good.
No. I'm that. If anything, as much as it sucks because we were having a fun conversation, it recharged the battery even more so.
Good. Then let's fucking do this thing because I'm stoked. I'm ready to get in. And plus, I don't have to bring up that I didn't know Christina Pickles.
Boom. There you go. All right.
3, 2, 1.